Thank you for coming today. This is our annual Women in Tech Career Panel, and this year we're going to be focused on the IT speakers. My name is Marie Tupaj. I'm the Dean of the STEM Division at Middlesex Community College, and I just want to thank you for coming. Before we get started, we have a few remarks that we'd just like to say, as well as acknowledgements. Today, this panel, as well as lunch, has been funded by the Strengthening Community Colleges Training Grant, SCC2, and it is funded by the Department of Labor, so we definitely want to thank them for this opportunity. We also have, in the IT department, our two professors, Department Chair Saida Firdaus Begum. She has definitely supported this group as well as helped recruit panelists, so we thank her. We also have Ahmed El-Sidi. He is teaching from overseas this year, the IT and cybersecurity department, but he's definitely a valuable member of the department and supporter of these types of programs, so we also like to thank him as well. We have Stephanie Adams. She's our admin and has helped tremendously put this event together as far as food, meeting with our moderator, and helping to organize the facilities and rooms and everything. So we definitely thank Stephanie. And then let's see, finally we have Arlene Rodriguez. She's not able to come today, but she is the Provost and Vice President of Student and Academic Affairs, and she is in support of these programs, so thank Arlene as well. Today, this panel is going to be moderated by Adebukola Ajao, and I will hand over the microphone to her. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? My name is Adebukola Ajao, and I'll be today's moderator, and I'm just here to facilitate and support our IT specialists in today's conversation. I'm so excited to see many of you. We've been working very hard on this, and so I want to thank Academic Affairs, Student Engagement, the entire Middlesex community, Stephanie Adams, Mary Tupaj, all the professors who made this possible. We've been working on this for quite some time. And so I just want to, just a few house rules. You're more than welcome to fill in some of the seats if you want to move closer. I know there's a barrier blocking us, so if you want to move closer, please feel free at any time, yes, to move closer, because we will have a Q&A portion at the end of this where you all will be able to ask questions, and our panelists will be staying behind for about 15 minutes to answer any questions, network. We really want this to be an engaging conversation for all. My name is Adebukola again. I am so excited to be here. I am actually an academic professor at Northeastern University. I teach in the marketing department. As many of you know, marketing, crosses through IT, and so I definitely have a lot of experience working with IT professionals. I also have a marketing agency and a small business resource platform where we help small businesses get access to different resources, whether it's grant funding, marketing tools and resources, as well as helping those who want to pursue IT get opportunities like this to speak or be connected to IT opportunities. And so I'm going to hand the mic down over to each one of our panelists who will introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our questions.
How many minutes do we have to introduction? Hello everyone, I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this opportunity to talk to all of you. My name is Farah Bas. I'm the Director of Technology and Information Management Systems in a nonprofit Oxfam America. I've been working there for now 15 plus years. Before that I used to work for Oracle, which is a consulting company, Oracle's consulting arm. And I have graduated from Brown University and came into this country to join college. Looking forward to your questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace Mecha. I'm a recent graduate of Boston University. I studied behavioral health, but I currently work at the intersection of healthcare, policy, and IT. So happy to be here and share that with you guys, and excited to answer all the questions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Manuel Fuentes Torres. I'll be graduating this year from Middlesex with my IT degree. I work in RSA security. I've been there for 24 years. The first 23 years I was in the manufacturing department. I took advantage of the college program that I had and started working in IT 2 years ago. And yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Ajao from Boston. 4 years ago, I graduated with my MBA at UMass Boston, and I decided I wanted to create a startup. So I created a tech startup called Groove, which is a digital platform to connect event hosts to DJs nationwide. And so just going through that process and learning how to build a tech program has been really challenging and interesting, and yeah, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ama Etzi. I actually work for her. That's my sister. I graduated from Boston College with a degree in computer science. And then throughout my career, I worked at various companies like Wayfair and Amazon, working with engineers and IT to build projects and products. So when Audra created her startup, I joined in, so I work on product, and currently I also work at Nesson as a product manager and working on the website. So if you have any questions about where your computer science degree can take you outside of coding, please ask me any questions.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here today, and my name is Niet. I graduated from IT cybersecurity here last year, and now I'm a current student in computer science major. I'm going to UMass Law next semester. I'm also part of the Learn and Learn program, so I work part-time at IT department here upstairs. Thank you.
Amazing. Sorry, we have to do this. Amazing. I want to kick us off first and foremost to talk about your career path. I know that many of us are here today to talk about that, to hear about that, because most people will think that IT career paths are linear, and any career path is really not. And so we'd love to hear your stories around that. So again, the IT landscape is vast. It's ever evolving. How did you discover your specific area of expertise within IT? And what resources would you recommend for exploring different career paths in IT, in your opinion?
Okay. So it's interesting, when I came to Brown, I actually came to do a math major, but ended up doing computer science instead, because as a woman, my family wanted to make sure I get into a career that makes it easy for me to have a family, and they wanted me to have work-life balance and so on and so forth, and IT was the place to be to do that. So computer science was the way I was being pushed to. But luckily, I found my passion in computer science. I really enjoyed it. I ended up graduating in it, and while I was taking a course, I ended up taking a course in database systems. And it's funny, it's the teachers sometimes who really ignite your passion. And I had an amazing professor who really excited me. I ended up TAing for that class. I ended up doing my research project with that professor. And lo and behold, when the time came to find my first job was in a database company, because that's what I liked. However, because of logistical reasons, I wanted to be near the East Coast, and this company was in the West Coast. So they moved me to their consulting arm, so I ended up consulting, and which meant that I went into different industries, bringing technology and finding solutions to their problem. And I realized I enjoyed problem solving and and that was very interesting. It was different. I had a family and kids, and then I thought, I cannot work in the corporate world. I want to work somewhere that's a little bit more meaningful, has more social impact, and I shifted my career into a nonprofit world. And when I did that, I started off doing system and DevOps, as what they call in IT, DevOps. And once I did that, I moved up the chain. I started taking care of the infrastructure, then I moved into networking, system administration. I think I probably have gone through the whole cycle of all IT fields, because then we had a ransomware attack and I ended up in cybersecurity, and I set up a whole team to manage our cybersecurity section. So The best part about IT that I can say is that it really helps. It's always exciting and it's always fun because there's so many places you can be and so many industries you can be in. And I think if you're looking for ways to figure out where you want to be, I highly recommend talking to people. People love talking and people love helping. If you can get anybody and call them up, even cold calls and say, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing. Please share some, what do you find most challenging, what you love about the work you do. People will love to share that with you, and you could probably figure out what you like and what you don't like in those areas. There's a lot of areas you can be in.
So my path to IT was a little less linear. I started off college as a pre-med major, so they successfully weeded me out of organic chemistry, unfortunately, but luckily it brought me to this path. Once I kind of left my pre-med era, I was kind of thinking of the things I enjoyed during that part of my undergraduate career, because I wouldn't consider, just because I'm not a doctor, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a waste of time, because I did grow my skill set and learned a lot about myself at the end of the day. So I kind of asked myself, where do my skills and passions lie and also intersect, and is my future dream role something that I kind of have to make up right now and forge my own path, or is it something that kind of already exists out there? So I kind of found project management and IT and health at the intersection of that through management consulting. So that's kind of what I do now. And to echo what she said as well, I also did a lot of informational interviews. People really do enjoy sharing details about their life and sharing advice. You don't have to learn every lesson the hard way in education. People love to share. And I would also say lastly, kind of actively putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. This is definitely outside of my comfort zone. So kind of just continuing to pursue things that, would help you grow in areas that you're interested in. And, being active about that as you navigate your undergraduate, your graduate, or your career is really important. Yeah.
Hi, my experience is a little bit different. I already worked for a software security company, but I worked in the manufacturing department, which is basically the bottom of any type of manufacturing department. After working for 22 years, I noticed the changes in the manufacturing environment, and I started networking with the IT guys. Hey, what do you guys do? And asking questions like, is there anything I could read on? Is there anything that we could talk about? So as I grew my interest more about it, I honestly went to Indeed and checked what type of jobs IT they have. What can I do in Middlesex? Can I go to Middlesex and start working my career in IT? So I took advantage of that. As I was getting closer to my first year of my degree, I talked to the IT management, and I did some networking with the IT people, and that's how I got into IT. Right now, I do onboarding, offboarding, more like IT system administrator. So that's what I do at the moment, but I'm still learning. If you want to learn, ask questions, read the newspaper, read the news, read about hacking. Try to figure out what's your interest in IT, because it's really like a big growing field. So, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. So my career, actually my background, I went to undergrad for marketing and advertising. And I remember when I was a sophomore or junior, I told my dad, I think I want to switch to IT and build websites. And he was just don't do that. Because his background's in IT. And he's nowadays, and this was also 20 years ago, he was eventually, you don't need to really know how to code. It's all, there's going to be templates that comes out where you just kind of need to understand how it works, but the actual coding, you don't really need that skill set as much. So I was okay, so I just stayed on my path in marketing and advertising, and when I graduated from school, I worked at a radio station. And even though I was in marketing, I was still, close to the website. I was the one that I would update the events on the radio station's websites, update the events, and then that's why when slowly I decided, okay, I want to build my platform group, which actually came from the radio station. When I first was there, I started off as the receptionist, and I think a lot of people calling the station asking how do I book a DJ for their event. So from there, I went and created a radio station, a DJ service within the radio station, and I ran that for like 4 or 5 years. So then after I left there and people were still wondering how do I book a DJ, is when I decided, okay, let me go back to school, got my MBA, and then I was able to start building a group. And so it was, even though you might not start off in like IT, you can still be close to it and still build from there.
That's a great story, and I was like, I was there for it. Again, hi, my name is Ama. My journey has been different roads as well. I graduated from Boston College with a computer science degree. It was really difficult for me. There wasn't many people of color or women. So I got through the classes, but like barely. So I wasn't really excited when I graduated. I wasn't like, oh yes, I'm gonna leave and be a coder. Like I was like, I'm not doing this. I didn't listen to our father. I still pursued computer science because I loved video games. That was kind of like my thing. Like, I'm gonna code for like a video game. But then I was like, I don't think I can do that if I can't really enjoy my time at school trying to learn how to code. I mean, I still passed like a B, but still, I just didn't like it. And then when it was time for graduation, I used to work at a bookstore at school, and my old manager was just like, won't you apply to IT here? It's great. And I was like, oh, okay. So I applied, and I worked in a help center. And so I worked there for a couple years, and then I transitioned to a systems administrator at the same school for international students. So I managed the systems and the platforms for a third-party application for Department of Homeland Security. So more like student and scholar record management. So I was the point person doing the upgrades, APIs, some certificates, small things, but more of the technical person at that company. And then eventually I transitioned to corporate and took on that program manager / project manager role where I really found myself being that person between the technical resources and the stakeholders, so kind of building like, what are you trying to build? What are the requirements? When do you need it? What does success look like? And so I've been doing that pretty much for the last 7-8 years. And then of course, when Ajao decided to start Groove, I hopped on that. So I work with the engineers in terms of building out the platform, the changes, the bugs. And then during the day, I also work at NESN, New England Sports Network. So we have a website, and so I do a very similar role where I update the website, gather requests from stakeholders, like what does the marketing team need, what does the editorial team need on the website to show. I work with engineers to get that delivered. So my path has been up and down, but each role I had, I learned a lot about myself in terms of what are your strengths. And I knew that programming wasn't my strength, but I knew how to talk to engineers and technical people to make sure things get delivered as needed. And that's my story.
So for me, my story is really easy. And when I'm looking at the major offer at NCC, I found that IT cybersecurity was the most interesting. And I found myself interested in the interworking technology and the security side of it. So I discovered these passions like after high school. So I would recommend people like doing research because deciding a major is not a small decision, and being informed make it easier. So how did I get into this major? It's just I found a bunch of reasons taking out all the other subjects that I don't like, I don't want to study, and I don't want to work in that field in the future. So the only stuff that I have left is IT, computer science, or engineering, because I can see the future in that field. That's it.
Really quickly, as they're passing the mic down, who here is a student at Middlesex and IT. I just want to get an idea of where you all are sitting. Right here in the room. All right, perfect. Really, really great. And definitely write down your questions. If anything sparked any ideas for you, we want to hear them once that time comes. I heard a lot of you all talking about people, right, within your story. It didn't sound like you got here by yourself, right? We rarely do. And I think building a supporting network, especially in IT and in tech, is crucial for your career growth. How have you sought or provided mentorship within your industry? And what are some of your recommendations for the students in cultivating valuable relationships within the workplace and here at Middlesex to contribute to their IT careers?
Okay, so when I came here in this country and when I was looking for my first job, I can just say that I was a very shy, introvert kid, and networking was not my special suit. So it was, I couldn't imagine myself going and talking cold to people or jumping in and making cold calls. But what I did care passionately about is community service. And I got involved in clubs that did a lot of those work. And I got involved with people who enjoyed working on causes. And funnily, that created a huge network for me and that's where I found my mentors. And these mentors, since I worked so closely with them, often had more confidence in my abilities than I had myself confidence in it. And they would push me to take more assignments or to take some leadership roles, or even there was a club that they asked me to be a president of, and I was like, do you see me in that role? And they're like, yes, we see you in that role. And one of the most interesting things that one of my mentors had told me is that you don't need to know everything to be a leader. In fact, you just need to surround yourself with knowledgeable people. And that's been my guiding post for the rest of my life. So definitely mentors, definitely peers. I think peers are, often, especially as a woman in IT, you find yourself surrounded by people who don't look like you, who you don't find easy way to connect with. And so to seeking those people who do look like you, or people who you can connect better with, and building that network and lifting each other up is super important. I would also say that don't get discouraged by failures because they are learning experiences. And if you do run into them, remember that you have the skills to pull yourself out of them, and it is a learning opportunity that you can come out of. Okay, in terms of, so that's how I sought mentors. Now, in terms of for you to seek mentors, keep in mind that it's not one-off conversations. To really get the mentors, you need to put in time investments and really reach out to them month to month so they get to know you, and they can then really advise you and be helpful to you. And you can, if you can't get that long-term relationship and you get short-term, use them to look at your resumes, use them to figure out what courses you should be taking. Use them to ask them to help you do practice interviews. Mentors would appreciate if you come with something to them and they can help you with something. So that's my advice. Hope that helps. Thanks.
I think that when it comes to mentorship, one thing that has been kind of a constant throughout the different relationships that I've cultivated is like a level of intentionality. So when I think about who I would like to be my mentors and what I would like to learn about them, I kind of think about how I'm going about seeking them. So for example, my job has a mentorship program. So right off the bat, you know that the people in that program, intend to be your mentor. So there's just a level of intentionality there. I think that the rest of the panelists would agree that you don't really stumble across mentors often. So intentionality is really key there. I would also say, in terms of like cultivating a relationship and making sure that you're getting the most out of it, would be to, and I don't want to frame mentor-mentee relationships as transactional, but I would say like think about the type of work that you would like to contribute to. Maybe you can get a mentor in that area and maybe support their work, and because that shows genuine interest and also expresses interest in like actively growing, like I was saying earlier. And in terms of being a mentor myself, I'm an early career professional, I guess. I haven't gotten the chance to really formally mentor people, but I think that it has similar themes in always being available to informational interviews, doing panels like these and sharing like experiences, and also just like being open. So I would say with mentorship, like just be very intentional. Mentors like to know kind of what you're working towards, and be open because you can find your passion, and more skills that you can invest more time into learning by being open.
I seek my mentors through my coworkers. Most of them are overseas, so it is a little bit harder to have conversations with them because I have to hit them up like through IM. I do ask to like, hey, can I shadow you a project that you're doing? Can I be involved in a meeting even if I just sit in the background so I could get some understanding and I can learn some knowledge? I also help mentor kids in Middlesex under cybersecurity president. I don't have all the answers, but I suggest them about let's come up with conversations. What are your interests in IT? Let's do some networking together. Let's look up some suggestions. What are your interests? If you're interested in, let's say, Azure, what type of job can you get out of it? What type of training do you need? What type of certification can you get? Stuff like that. There's more. I feel like in IT, I don't know if you guys agree, you do have to communicate. Like you can't be a loner. Like you have to just ask questions. Hey, can you be my friend in the sense of, can you give me some knowledge on this type of topic or this type of application? Like I feel like networking and conversation is very, very important in IT. So that's my experience.
I agree, absolutely. And kind of like reiterating what like Grace mentioned about being intentional. So being in a startup, and there's so many startup programs like accelerators, fellowships, and I've been in so many programs where a lot of them provide us with mentors. They take our skills and what we're looking for, and they find someone that offset those skills. And it got to a point where I had so many mentors, it felt like a chore, like, oh, I have to meet with them on Thursday, what I gotta talk about. And I realized it was, I read an article about women or people of color getting funding in tech. And somebody said that we are over-mentored and underfunded. And I'm like, oh, that is so true. I can get a mentor like that, but all the advice, it's great advice, but after a while, it's like you need to know, you have to be really intentional about what you want and find the mentors that, like if you need help in funding, or you need help with career, or you need help with building a platform, to find those exact people that can really help you get to where you need to be and not waste your time or their time.
When I worked at Wayfair, I started participating in ERGs, which is employee resource groups. So those groups are usually centered around different groups of people. So women at the company, Black, Asian, whatever the group. So I was one of the co-leads of the Black Employee Network, and so through that I had a mentor. And the same thing where after the first couple meetings, I kind of got what I needed out of it, and then you got to know like when to stop, essentially. But it was a great program where you kind of match to what you want to do. And then you could don't be afraid to say like, okay, I think I might need like a new mentor because this is the direction that I'm going in. And also through like that ERG group, in which I also continue to do that in my current company, is also becoming a mentor for other people who are early in their career, and you can still get something out of it because there's things that I wish I knew when they were like when I was in school. So I use that knowledge and send that to the next person. So that was really helpful for me. And also past colleagues. I have a friend who moved to a different company in a different field. I'm like, oh wow, like can you tell me more about, buy them dinner, coffee, and then that's a good way where it's not complete mentorship, but you can learn more about a particular field that you're interested in. And the one thing is about like IT, where IT is in any company, so you don't have to be in a typical IT company. People think of, oh, I gotta work at IBM or Microsoft, but you can work for like GameStop and be in the IT department. You can work for CVS and be the IT department. So meeting up with friends who work at different companies that have like IT has been also a good way for me to like network and stuff.
So for me, I frequently seek advice in my positions to improve my role here at MCC. I seek professional advice from senior coworkers so that I can improve my career. So my recommendation for cultivating professional relationships is kindness, because kindness comes a long way for meaningful relationship that helps with networking.
Can I actually add to my answer? I just have a quick one. So I was just thinking about like what everyone said, and I realized that like a lot of my mentors are also like not IT people, and a lot of my mentors don't do what I do and have never done what I do for work. I remember when I was much younger thinking that I wanted to do like marketing and social media, and I viewed like Adebukola as one of my mentors, and I still do to this day, honestly. She might not know that, but I have learned like a lot from her, and I don't think she's ever done public health consulting, but you know, when you think about like mentorship, you think about less of, your careers don't exactly have to align, but your goals and what they can, you know, teach you can. You can learn a lot about like being a Black woman in corporate America, for example, or you know, just navigating different types of spaces. But your mentors don't have to be like, you know, you in the future necessarily.
Thank you so much for that, Grace. I also want to say that, you know, interestingly, IT, as you all know, does not exist in silos. Every industry, every company, everything in this world virtually has an IT component. And so finding those mentors or people you can align with outside of IT itself actually can likely get you quicker to your goal. And so I know for me, being in marketing, a big issue that we're seeing right now is cybersecurity for small businesses. Small businesses don't think about that stuff. It's like, oh, I'm a small business, I can just make an email and make an account and I'm good to go. However, small businesses we're finding are more susceptible to attacks because, you know, they're easier to hack and things of that nature. So I'll be working closely with some tech companies over the next couple of weeks, actually, at a business retreat for marketers and other people in my field as service providers to learn more about IT, how to best support our clients with cybersecurity, right? It's a skill that we all need to know, right? And so definitely be thinking about what industries you'd like to align yourself with and find mentors within that as well. You all mentioned, again, in your journeys, a lot of different programs and things that you're doing, so I'd love to learn really quickly, and not every panelist has to answer if you don't like to, what types of accelerators, programs, or IT adjacent or within the IT industry have you done to like accelerate your career? And if there's any that you can share with the audience that they can do as well. Okay.
So one thing I did actually during the COVID, so the summer of 2020, so I did this virtually, was the Health Career Connection internship. So it is what it sounds like. It connects college or soon-to-be college graduates with health careers and it spans kind of the entirety of the continuum of care and also like the more business side of healthcare as well. So I did a health equity program through that scholarship, and it actually was a big part of, I think they like recruited me for my current job from that program. So opportunities can come out of, you know, programs that invest in like your skill set and have the goal to like show you what your options are. I'm also thinking of like taking advantage of things like work study, maybe getting a job in the IT department, and things like that. Yeah, I think those are my things.
As a Middlesex student, LinkedIn, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. A lot of students, I feel like we don't look at that. It has everything in IT that you can think of that you would never thought about. Not just for as a student, also as a professional. I own a small business. Me and my husband, we own a glass commercial business. Also LinkedIn, thankfully to Middlesex, I have taken a few online videos and courses of management. So I've been able to use my management skills, my IT skills, how to protect my business, not to get hacked, because even though we only have 8 employees, the customers' credit cards could get linked. The payroll could get linked. So LinkedIn for me as a Middlesex student, for my work experience, Udemy is very, very huge. It has helped me improve my skills at work. So as a student and as a professional in IT, those are my 2 main to go, Udemy and LinkedIn.
Wow, I've been through a lot of programs. So first, during COVID is when I decided I wanted to create Groove. And I joined an accelerator called E4All. And the first time I applied, I actually got rejected. And so that's when I realized, okay, this is like some serious business. So I had to really focus. And I reapplied for the summer session. And an accelerator is almost like a mini business school. Because everything they were doing, I'm like, so could I skip business school and just not an accelerator? It's a lot of information. They give you a lot of connections, like they connected us with like BC law students, and so they do all my contracts, all my business and corporation paperwork. We did everything. And I also was in the Capital Network. These 2 programs focus on women founders. The Capital Network and the other one's called Get Shit Done. And it's about focusing on traction, and the Capital Network is focused on getting ready for fundraising and raising capital. And my most recent one is last summer I was in this program called Visible Hands, and it's a fellowship where for underrepresented founders, and it gave us a $10,000 grant to kickstart our startup.
I didn't do really any programs. I was like, I should do some programs. After college, I got tired. Like throughout my career, like LinkedIn, particularly with a lot of companies now, they kind of make it part of like the benefits package, where it's like, you have access to LinkedIn Learning. So I'll do that every once in a while. And also a lot of companies, they do provide tuition remission or they cover costs. And so actually, this year I think I'm going to do like a JIRA, certification, because my job will pay for it. And so for the current job, and you can use that for any other future company that you might work with. A while ago I did do a general assembly course to see if I want to get back into coding, and I was like, no. Okay, so I didn't continue with that. But even if, like I said, I haven't done it in a while, it's always good to, at least for the free courses that are available, so like through LinkedIn. The publication Medium is an email. They have different topics, and sometimes they provide different resources for trainings and webinars and forums. And another one is Fairy God Boss for women. So there's a lot of networking and opportunities for forums and trainings and things like that. So.
I also just wanted to add one more thing again. I've also, my first like IT coordinator role, I did it for a summer program that is aimed at like kids that are like in 4th to 6th grade, like grade school. I had attended like maybe the middle school version of that program, and they were seeking people to be IT coordinators and emphasized that they wanted people that were really open to learning a lot. So I went in with no IT experience, but came out with like 3 months of really intense IT experience. So I would say also look at communities that have empowered you in the past and just look for opportunities there as well. Because you already know like what that kind of setting is about and what you might be able to contribute to it.
I think I can finally add a few more things. I think you guys covered a lot. I would also recommend Coursera. It's an online community and it has a lot of courses. I actually use it as whenever there's something new that or challenge comes up. I was running digital transformation. I needed to understand about change management. We went to Coursera. AI came along. I did all my beginner courses in Coursera, so definitely recommend that highly. Same thing with cybersecurity. There's also Salesforce Trailhead if you're interested. They do there's free online courses to become a Salesforce administrator, and that's a very lucrative job, and there's a lot of people looking for Salesforce administrators, so look into that. And there's a program called Hack Diversity. I'm part of a Society of Information Management, and we fund a lot of Hack Diversity programs. It's a not-for-profit. It brings up minority communities and gives them skills and then places them in jobs. So definitely look into that.
Thank you so much for that. It's a lot of great information. I hope you're taking notes. For me, I think my experience with IT and programming is Black Girls Code. I volunteered to be their social media concierge, so anytime they had programming or workshops for the girls all over the country, but particularly here in Massachusetts, I would go and volunteer my time to capture the girls having fun, learning code, building programs, building products, and that actually opened the door for other girls and other people to be involved with the organization. Some people I've connected to the program now work for Black Girls Code in some capacity. They've gone through a lot of changes over the past 7 years, and so definitely, as Grace said, volunteering can really open the floodgates to a lot of opportunities in IT, especially when it comes to underserved communities who are looking for people to support their programming. Again, when I volunteered, they were basically just starting up, and now they're all over the country, all over the world, serving thousands of Black girls all over. And so that was if I was in IT, I'm pretty sure I would work with them because they're amazing. And on that note, addressing intersectionality of our identities, women of color, in IT especially, face a lot of unique challenges. And can you share a specific instance where you overcame these challenges and offer any advice on how to navigate similar situations?
Sure. I think the first challenge is getting through the door. Because even if you look around this room, I was just looking at the students, I can count the women here. And I remember when I was in the computer science department, I was telling all my panel peers that our computer lab was this big, and I could point to the 3 women who were in the computer lab. And it's hard when you don't see people who you can connect with quickly, and you have to work double the work to get where others are getting because they have the information, because they are networking and they have people who can give them that information. And you are sometimes running solo on it. I think I can point to even in my career, when I got my first job, I worked super hard. I was one of the few women who got hired. So I felt like I had to give it that most, work super hard, got the Consultant of the Year award, but then got bypassed for promotion. And I was like, what happened? I'm doing so well. But I was too shy to ask and too shy to figure out what happened. And so when this happened a second time in my second job, I thought I should at least go and ask what happened. And so I went and said, I'm wondering, I wanted to apply for this. And I was like, oh, you don't have the skills needed. And I went back and it really brought me down. I thought, oh, I don't have the skills needed. And then I was like, but what is the skill that was needed? what did I didn't have? And so I went back and I said, what are the skills we're looking for? And I was told, oh, you know, I said, I've done all of this. And so you really have to advocate for yourself. You really have to push and show some confidence and be there, because people like to think, and just by looking at you, that they are making a lot of assumptions of where you are and what have you done. And if you don't speak up and go back and keep going back, you will lose that opportunity. And I would also add that actually when I did finally, in one place, when I got a promotion, I was being promoted to a level below, because I was like, oh, okay, you have the skills, okay, you know what, we can give you this title. We'll promote you to this title. And even that you have to ask, why just this title? Why not the other title? And I had to advocate and get the title I thought I deserved. So first of all, you have to build yourself to be in that space, to ask for those things. But please, please, don't let others tell you what you can do. Thank you.
That was like the perfect thing to say right before my thing, because I think that a big part of it for me as well is self-advocacy, and kind of deciding what you're a good candidate for, not letting anybody else tell you what your interests are. They might have a good idea of your skill set, but you ultimately decide like what you're a good candidate for. And I know that when it comes to applications and pursuing opportunities and stuff, like ultimately it is up to whatever organization you're applying to for them to agree that you're a good candidate. But you know, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and you also know yourself probably better than than you think you do. So I think, like, you know, don't undermine yourself, understand what your skills are, and kind of, you know, where you want them to take you. So being able to define that and defining what you are a good candidate for.
So for me, it is challenging. I am the only Hispanic in my team and the only woman in my team. So I feel like I have to prove myself, because I am the one who started the latest and everybody has 15 years plus experience. So what I do, I ask questions, I get involved, I kind of offer myself to work Saturdays and Sundays on a project that I have no knowledge of it, but I'm gonna gain experience. Even though I am losing hours in my weekends, I am gaining some type of knowledge. That's one of the challenges I feel like I come across, is not, I don't have as much experience as they do, but I ask questions. I ask, what can I do to have a better understanding? Is there like an online learning, a YouTube? Ask questions. No question is a dumb question, so always ask questions.
So when I first wanted to start Groove, I was really excited. After I graduated, I was telling everybody my great business idea and what I wanted to start. And actually, in one of our brother's friends said, do you have a co-founder? And I'm like, no, it's just me starting it. And he's like, well, you need to find a white male to go into business with, because you would not be taken seriously. And like, I was floored. I never even thought about that. Like, I need to find like a white male to be legitimized. And so at first I'm like, okay, who do I know? You know, I need to like find somebody. And then it got to a point where I realized, you know what, like, I'm enough. Like, I don't need to find anyone else. If I happen to find someone that wants to join my team, they happen to be a white male, great, you know, but I'm not gonna say that I won't get ahead because of like my race and my gender. So I just gotta be confident and just do what you gotta do.
For me, I always try to find, like, not like my lane, but a lot of times you get challenged. I keep going to these companies that's like usually male dominated and Caucasian. Like, I don't know, it's like I'm a magnet for it. And so I work at a sports network, so imagine that. And so a lot of times I'm challenged on a lot of things, particularly on like the technical aspect. I'll write some document and then I'll change it, but I'm like, it's exactly the same thing. You just rewrote it. It's the same outcome. And so a lot of times I'm like, well, let me, not like play a game, but I'm like, let me find a space where I can excel. And then they have to look towards me for questions or insights. And so I'll use like project management strength and write documents, requirements of things like communications. And that actually got me a presentation with the president of the company. He heard and was like, what's this? And asked for his own special presentation. And so I'm not saying that to ignore what the haters essentially, but go towards your strengths. And then it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna go to another meeting, they're gonna say something, and then I just kind of brush it off. But it does get tiring. I just have to admit that, where one day you pick yourself up, like, I'm great, this is perfect, and then 2 weeks later, you might be in the same position or feeling. So just surround yourself with people who will validate your work, who know you're a good employee or a good colleague, and just make yourself proud of the things that you've done for yourself at most.
So for me, one example I can think of is when my ideas were overlooked during the school projects meeting. I'm not sure because of like women or Asian, but I don't question myself. So I requested a one-on-one communication with the project lead to discuss my contributions. So my advice would be like ask for like a pursuit of direct communications and showcase your work. It is really important to speak up and ensure that your accomplishments are recognized.
Thank you all so much for your candid responses. I'd also like to add that, I think sometimes in pursuit of your career, we all want a seat at the table. And sometimes there will come a time where you actually should go into spaces and flip their tables and go do something else, right? So I think it's really important to find that balance, as Ajao said, around doing what you have to do. Like, work is always going to be difficult no matter what race you are. There'll always be pushback, there'll always be difficult people or difficult systems. But there are times when you might be the difference to change company culture, to change how people do things, especially within the IT tech world. There's still a lot of work in that world to be done around changing, around culture. And so if you are that person, feel free to be that person in spaces that makes the change and that makes the disruption. Because we have a long way to go, yet and still, even being on a panel with so many women in IT, there's still a long way to go, and there's still a need for more women in this space. And so I want to ask my very last question, and then we're going to open it up for questions from you. I'm excited to hear from the students especially, and faculty and staff, and then we'll open it up for our networking portion where you'll be able to talk to our panelists one-on-one, ask questions, network. You never know where these relationships can take you. And so I'm going to just ask one more question so we can get started really quickly. Just a real quick 30-second, what advice would you want to impart on the students about being in IT?
So the IT world, I think, is changing, and it's getting better in terms of diversity initiatives. But it's a very lucrative place to be. The salaries are great. There's a lot of things. Every industry has tech, so I cannot speak enough about being in this industry. I personally love the challenge and the different problems you get to solve in the IT space. So if you're a problem solver like me, definitely this is the space for you. Additionally, just you being there makes a difference. Your voice matters. There was in my organization, we say diverse teams perform better, and I truly believe in that. And I'm a big believer in inclusive decision making, where you poll people for ideas and diverse opinions before you make a decision. So highly recommend that you stay the course and enjoy the benefits of this course.
I think my advice would go for like, even like careers beyond IT. I also wish somebody told me this at least once in college, to like keep these kind of things at the forefront of your mind. Follow your passions, understand what your skills are and really what your best skills are. And that it is possible for you to enjoy your work, make a meaningful impact, and also, make a livable wage, even to sustain yourself. Like, you can have it all.
This field is like a non-stop learning field, so you will never get bored. Like, there's no way you could get bored in this field. The pay is also good, so it will make you want to learn more because you could really be up in a higher level in IT. Don't stop learning, ask questions, like I said before, talk to your peers. If you get a job that is hybrid, ask to be involved in meetings. If you hear anything, hey, what was this meeting about? I'm interested. Just get involved. Don't be shy to get involved in anything. That's one of my suggestions for this.
If you really love the IT field, I say pursue it. The more of us that are here, it won't seem like we're anomalies. And so, support comes in packs. So I say, just you belong here.
And actually, to second that, where if you're, working for companies or where you don't have the team that you're looking for, that support, you can create your own, essentially. That's where I wish someone said that to me earlier, where okay, kind of think about not just the type of work of IT or technology, but the type of people that you need around you to support you or help you grow. And if you can't find that in a company, essentially do it on your own.
So, to young women entering IT, even only some of you are here today, your unique perspective is valuable and needed. So don't be afraid to take the first step, and remember that every expert was once a beginner, and surrounding yourself with the supportive people who believe in your potentials, and don't hesitate to reach out for guidance.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause. Again, thank you all so much for sharing your story so candidly. I learned a lot. I'm sure you all learned something, and I would love to open up the floor now for anybody to ask any questions. And then after our Q&A over the next 10 minutes, we will just network and meet one another one-on-one, and I'm excited. So does anybody have a question? You can feel free to raise your hand and just speak up so we can all hear you. Yeah. And please introduce yourself as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Sunny Nguyen. I'm the professor of biotechnology. I heard you said you hate organic. It wasn't bad at all. So I think I have several questions. I hope, unless I have time, that I can have one or two short first. So in terms of computer science in general, and you guys have IT, and you have the computer science. And I know most of the time when you're talking, we talk about how successful you are, how the journey you may see some bump. But my first question on the behalf of the student is, what are the hobbies the student may have before they can join the IT major? And even though, from my understanding, IT major and computer science are very different in terms of curriculum and vigorously, do you have any personality that more fitting to the IT versus computer science? Because, sorry for my frame language, IT, you have more time for communication, but to me, computer science is more like a geek, that you only face the computer science. Maybe you have to deal with your team, but from the outside, we feel like you are very quiet. So is any personality that you have to deal with the computer science? And even you deal with the computer science and you don't have to have a lot of conversation with the other outside computer science. What are the most challenging that you have? Like for example, computer science, I understand you have require very huge math, like computer, calculus 1, 2, 3, DQ, and later on discrete math. So even the student, let's say, hey, I love the computer science, but a lot of, from the beginning, if you're not really good at math, forget it, you cannot do that. So what are your thoughts about that?
Thank you. That was a really loaded question. So I know it's totally fine. I'm gonna pass it down. But if you have any additional questions in terms of your questions, we'll have that during the networking hour. But yeah, go ahead.
I think that as somebody that comes from, like, I don't have an IT degree, like, or a computer science degree. I've never taken a computer science class, like, I think with that being said, people tend to undermine the importance of like soft skills. I think that one thing that is really important in IT is being able to collaborate, and not only like collaborate, but like collaborate effectively. So you kind of have to know how to like communicate, which includes like knowing how you best receive information, how to use other styles of communication to collaborate effectively. And also just being able to like deal with different personalities. And also when you think about like the nature of information technology, like what is information if it's not shared and if you're not collaborating on projects about whatever information you're talking about. So I think collaboration and people skills are a big one. I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope it helped.
Yeah, it's completely two different things. Because I did computer science, and then my first job was in IT, and I was like, this is not. I was like, if I would have known that, not saying I would have done the computer science degree, but I would have done dance or something like that.
Dance?
No, I'm just joking. Actually, yeah, I took dance classes at BC. Yeah, and so like again, my computer science, I didn't really enjoy the classes. I did find it was more about I realized I needed to be around people and communicate and share ideas, where computer science, again, this was 20 years ago, where there was not a lot of group projects. I did everything by myself. I went to professors for help. Sometimes it wasn't really helpful. So to me, it just seemed like a very lonely path, and you had to figure out, and like one semicolon can just change your whole world in coding. I'm like, I can't have that kind of pressure on me trying to debug for days for like one semicolon. And now like the technology is different. Like AI can tell you where the issue is, where the bug is. So it's different now. But when I went into IT, that's when I realized, oh wow, this is great. I created like IT programs for students for the help desk. They did a like a remote, it's called ResNet. So I trained students to help troubleshoot computer issues in dorm rooms. So it's taking my background, what I learned in the department, and using it that way. And so, I was decent at math. I said I graduated with a 3.5 GPA, but I just felt like I needed to be around more, like in a field where it's more communicative, and I say less lonely. But again, if I had to do it all over again, I would do computer science again with the new resources and the things that I've learned so far.
Sorry, I don't.
Good. Should I?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I didn't
It's true that IT is different from computer science, because when I was taking IT class, I have a lot of time to go out. Yeah, so for computer science, it involves a lot of coding, and it's hard, like people said, and it's why you need to take a lot of math classes, because it involves a lot of math.
Yeah.
So you kind of need math to code, and it takes a lot of time to code. So that's why people have to stay home to study or do the job. So they kind of lose time to social, but you don't need to be an introvert to learn coding, because I think the idea of coding is come from real life. So.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick, I was gonna say, and this might be in between, a hobby and a skill and stuff like that. But I think that the more that you ask questions in settings where you might know the answer, you might not, I think like you get better at asking questions. Like the more questions you ask, the better you get at asking them, and you don't even realize that like, you know, the questions that you're asking get more and more nuanced. Like you could, you know, start off not knowing anything about IT and only asking, you know, yes or no questions. But once you start understanding the material more because you are asking those yes or no questions, you can ask more open-ended ones and get, you know, more nuanced, informative answers.
I just want to say that my experience in computer science was a little different than one of the panelists. I actually had to do a lot of collaborative projects and learned a lot from my team. And I think, so I have a hard time saying that IT requires more collaboration skills versus computer science requires less. I feel they equally require both skills. And in fact, computer science is more rigorous, so I think it builds more resilience. I personally think it makes you very detail oriented, you get very organized. So it really, and I have college kids, so just telling you my age here. And my kids, when they ask me, why are we studying these things that we'll never use in our lives? I say it's building skills that you do use in your life. Because you do need all of these skills to manage your work, even challenges, personal challenges. And so these are all equally important. So just wanted to add that thought.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any other questions? Yes. Here. Thank you. And please introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Alaborn. I found cybersecurity a little late. This is my first semester, this semester that's about to finish. And a worry of mine is that by the time I get a degree, since I found it late, I won't have as much experience as I need to find an actual job. Is there any method you ladies have for finding programs or jobs that give you like really beginner experience so you get hands-on experience with tech?
Every job I did, whatever I learned was very little in school, and what I learned on the job was more. And most of the organizations do train you up because they want you to do it in the way that their culture defines it to be done, right? So, and you can actively pursue that and ask for, what kind of development opportunities are in your organization. That's a great question to ask in your interviews, and that will help you get the kind of organization you're getting into. I personally say I hire a lot of IT folks in my team because IT has a lot of turnover, right? Once you learn the skills, they move on to bigger and better jobs, right? And when I do, I am not looking for skills as such. I'm looking for your drive to learn, your passion, and your perseverance, right? I'm looking how resilient you are. The questions I ask you is not, could you code this for me, or can you show me how your firewall works, or in cybersecurity, maybe how would you monitor this, or what your incident response plan is. But what I'm asking you is, if you made a mistake, what would be your reaction to it, and how would you go about correcting it? What would you do? Give me an example. I'm looking for, do you know about my organization, and do you know what my organization does, and are you passionate about the work we do? So I would recommend, if you are looking for jobs, not those kids, learn about the organization and make sure you're communicating the passion you have for learning in the interview, whatever way. And also, I know when I'm asking questions in interviews, people get intimidated, and sometimes they don't know the answer, they don't know what to say, they are struggling. In interview, we're trying to learn to know you. So if you don't know the answer, pivot to the answer you do know. You can say, I'm not quite sure what you're trying to ask me on this one, but can I share this about myself? And share that, and give us examples. That's really what the interview process is about. It's not about scaring you. It's not about really making you, put you on a test. It's really just learning about who you are and how you fit in the organization that we are hiring you for. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I also want to add to that too. Like, think about what you would add to the organization. I think it is important to be mindful of like what you might be lacking, but you also, bring your own unique perspective. And just to give a pretty specific example, my current job or my current role, I do Medicaid project management. So a lot of that is dealing with, healthcare and understanding kind of the context. Going into my role, I realized that a lot of my colleagues, and I have a behavioral health degree, by the way, a lot of my colleagues have like business degrees or like philosophy degrees. So they were actually going into this very, healthcare focused job, not knowing negative 2 things about healthcare, literally. So I was kind of lacking in kind of the IT side of things, but I know a whole lot about public health, and I, kind of communicated that I would be able to use my kind of transferable skills and also apply that knowledge to that new setting. So even if you don't have, an internship that the next guy might have, you do have something that, is equal or even more valuable than that. You just have to frame it that way.
I feel like it is kind of hard to find some IT job, like you said at the beginning. I would suggest help support. That could be a starting point, and once you get in, you just keep on learning more, and then you'll be able to move into a high position in the company, take that experience, and move on. So just start off, obviously you ladies have more experience, but as a student, that's what I would recommend. Start off as a help desk support job, get in, get as much knowledge as you could, volunteer, and then just keep on moving up. That would be my suggestion.
Same. That's what I did. I started in IT. I didn't end up in cybersecurity, but that was a good path to kind of meeting other people within IT, doing projects. Say, hey, can I do a co-project with you? And then you can also gain experience that way.
So our school, we have a learn and learn program for students, and for IT, like the one I'm in right now, it's a learn and learn for IT cybersecurity student, and I think you can start applying after you finish your first semester. And next semester, the fall, for start September, I believe, I'm not quite sure, but they were hiring, learn and learn working here in Low and in Bedford. You can reach out to them, career integration, third floor. It's a good start because you can learn and study at the same time, and also you will find out if you like it or not. And after you have a 1-year experience in your resume, it's much easier to find a job.
We have time for one more question. After that question, we will open it up for networking. So if you have any other questions, please still ask them to any one of us, and I'm happy to start meeting some of you. But yes, you have a question. Please just state your name.
Hello. Okay. I only have one. My name is John. Based on your experience, do you think the behavioral health gets affected based on the face-to-face work, or being working from home or online? It affects the performance or change the behavioral health of the IT or cybersecurity employees?
That's a great question.
So if I understand the question correctly, you're asking if it's better to work remotely or better to work in person. Is that what you're asking?
So at the beginning, Ms. Grace said that she's studying behavioral health, and I'm trying to see if she believes it changed on the employees working from home or face-to-face on the behavioral health or mental issues.
So I only graduated college less than 3 years ago. So I hadn't my entire career has been remote, so I can't really answer that. I'm sorry. But based on what my coworkers say, I think that working remotely definitely has its benefits. I think it kind of forces you to be able to collaborate more effectively, just because you can't nudge the person next to you and be like, what was the link to that thing again? Like you don't want to, instead of like continuously messaging someone on Teams, you kind of want to ask the most full question that you can, so you're not messaging someone all day. So I think there are aspects of that where working remotely forces you to kind of like change your communication style and be more flexible. When it comes to being in the office, I don't know. Most of my like work I do remotely, so I feel like I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Can I just make it? My team is hybrid, and we initially were all in person right before COVID, and we intentionally wanted to be in person because we wanted to be there to help people because I run an IT help desk as well, and we thought we couldn't do this remotely. But when COVID happened, we learned we could do it remotely, and I think the advantages and disadvantages is what I would go with. I think the advantages of remote is you're very targeted, you have targeted meetings, and you have some time to yourself to walk around, to be in your familiar space, and you don't have to commute, right? So you save that time as well. In person helps you collaborate, and the side conversation that you're having in front of the water cooler that you don't get to have, those happen more in person than they happen remote. Now, we have made an intentional decision to have some of those conversations remotely as well. So we have a team meeting in the morning where we do what we call a state of mind check-in, where we just check where everybody is, and we just do it by number. If people want to share, they can share. So a lot of companies understand that in remote, people who are remote need a space where they can socialize, and they are providing those spaces. So you don't have to feel isolated even if you're working remote. And on the flip side, they're also doing retreats. So for example, our company, once a month, we come together and we meet each other, or we will go together out, even go for a hike together. So not working, just going for a hike. We leave early from work and do it to just build those connections and keep those connections. So there are ways of making that happen even if you want to work remote.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you all so much for your responses. Again, we are going to open up the floor. We're going to walk around and answer your additional questions. Again, we're here to support you. Please make sure, especially for the students, that you connect with us on LinkedIn. I wish we had like our LinkedIn cards up here, but definitely feel free to connect. We want to be here to support and be a part of that first network. That's what this event is about, right? So I know many of you are probably thinking, like, oh, I need a connection. This is the connection right here. And so please take advantage of that. Thank you so much for having us, and I'm going to hand it back to Marie Tupaj. Thank you.